Water is life, so they say, but out of the world's 6.8 billion people, nearly 1.1 billion lack access to clean water.
Kenya is classified as a water scarce country. When we say a water scarce country, we say that country that has less than 1,000 cubic meters renewable fresh water.
Kenya is currently facing one of its worst droughts ever, with at least 4 million people in urgent need of water. Nairobis' rapid and unplanned expansion has done little to help the situation.
We are not really scaremongers or doomsday prophets. No, we are just saying that things are getting worse and worse, and you can see, for example, the kind of water stress that a city like Nairobi is already facing. And a city of 3 million plus people, if you are going to ration water, first of all, it is expensive, it is wasteful, it is distressing, it affects productivity. You know, so it permeates throughout the functioning of the economy and of society. So this is really an urgent issue. It is a human security issue.
This is a common sight in the city estates. Mothers and children carrying containers in search of water, and vendors have been making a killing selling the precious commodity. As demand for water is growing in most cities, every urban citizen now requires almost double the amount of water that a rural citizen requires. Inadequate investment in rainwater harvesting through dams and boreholes has aggravated the situation. Water experts are now calling for alternative options to tap water.
At the moment, the proportion of people with water harvesting facilities or installations in their homes, it is hardly 1% or 2%. So if we are able, for example, to increase this number by, say, 10% in the next 5 years, or maybe we can rise. So really, it is a policy issue.
Nairobi has a potential to harvest almost 10 million cubic meters of water each year. This means that water needs of between 6 and 10 million people with 60 liters a day can be harvested. Water harvesting addresses the issues of the Millennium Development Goals, part of which is to provide clean water by 2015, a factor that sees the sub-Saharan Africa missing out greatly.
Depending on the rain season, there are some places where the annual distribution of rain is quite even, and there are some areas where you really don't need municipal water. You would be able to collect sufficient water to run. Of course, now it comes with complementary technologies, like small pumps, to make sure that maybe you have enough pressure. You also have to come in with water treatment, water storage. But all this could be done if it was decided that we are going to be harvesting water. And in the small towns, as I said, but also in the rural areas, it would really improve the quality of life for women and children.
If at all we can assist the rural people or those people who don't have enough water, then in a way we are achieving our Millennium Development Goal that everybody by the year 2030 should have water in their home. And rainwater harvesting, it's a simple technology, and if it is adaptable to most people, they can be able to adapt and replicate the systems very easily.
More than 75% of food production in the sub-Saharan Africa originates from rain-fed agriculture. This over-reliance of rainfall has led to low crop yields.
Climate change has meant that even the vulnerability of changes in weather patterns has increased. If you are not really irrigating your crops, if you are engaging in agriculture, rain-fed agriculture is basically a lottery. You are just involved in a lottery, so you are in the hands of Almighty. I mean, you really have to control water in a continent which has the highest variability in rainfall and very low rainfall. Of course, food security also will require that, of course, we invest in less water-dependent crops. And you have seen again, Africans, we are normally very good at copying things. So we are even copying, our food habits are changing. Our own traditional crops like millets, sorghums, which are normally drought resistant, I'm afraid have been replaced by rice, by maize, and all these assume that you have irrigation capacity.
Protecting water catchment areas and water bodies is a priority, and formulating sustainable policies, strategies and action plans will help in coping with persistent drought and devastating impacts of climate change in sub-Saharan Africa.
The way forward is basically in terms of conservation. And we need to know that conservation does not just include, just mean dams, Dams are a good way, but first of all, they are expensive, and two, they also waste a lot of water through evaporation. So if we can store our water within the soil, it is not subject to pollution, not a lot of it, and it is not subject to evaporation. And it means we can store large amounts of water across a catchment area, as opposed to a localized area where we put a dam.